Let's discuss centre-backs today as West Ham's summer transfer activity is now underway as Thilo Kehrer has joined Monaco on a permanent transfer. This has been confirmed by the club. There's no rumour or gossip. That's the Nayef Aguerd update. There's no need to go, who's that guy, who's that source, do we trust him? You don't have to wait for the photo on the official website of him holding up the shirt. It's a done deal. Kehrer is a Monaco player. The fee is €11 million, which is roughly £9.5 million. In addition to the couple of million quid we would have got in the January transfer window for the initial loan part of this deal when Kehrer joined Monaco. Comes as no surprise. I'd have been more shocked had he not joined Monaco in the summer transfer window. And I think this is good news. I think it's good news for everybody. It's been a fantastic loan spell for Thilo Kehrer. He's gone over there, he's playing centre-back, he's getting loads of minutes under his belt, and he's happy again, he's enjoying his football. Those are Thilo Kehrer's words. It's been good for Monaco because they've got a player in quite low cost, German international, or was a German international, and he's playing really good. Those are Monaco fans' words. Not been playing well enough to get back into that German squad for the Euros. However, he's playing really well over there. And most importantly, it's worked for West Ham. The last thing we could do was get this wrong, send him somewhere that he didn't play or he didn't perform really well. And I've criticised the club for the loan of Callum Marshall. But this one, they've got it absolutely bang on. And we've basically just got the money back that we paid to PSG a couple of years ago when we essentially purchased him in an emergency situation. I think it's worked out. I think everything has worked out for Thilo Kehrer here, and I'm pleased about it, but most importantly for West Ham, because you get the impression that he probably wasn't going to be in this squad next season or part of the plan, and it gives Stuyden and Lopetegui essentially 11 million quid for somebody that, well, he wasn't even here for the second half of the season, but didn't really play in the first half either. It's been a really good loan move. Hey, who'd have thought it? You can have good loan spells. Calvin, are you listening? You can have good loan ones. Anyway, we're going to discuss centre-backs today. The big news being Thilo Kehrer. There's an update about Nayef Aguerd. There's an update from Ogbonna. And also the rumours that West Ham will be trying to sign 2 centre-backs in the summer transfer window. However, if you're new around here, please do subscribe and also drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up. Both things are free, takes a handful of seconds, helps out the video, helps out the channel, makes me very happy, as does this loan move actually. Because I quite like Thilo Kehrer, I still like him, I've got nothing against him. I like Thilo Kehrer. Off the pitch, came across as quite a nice guy, but also the celebrations for the Conference League, and he had a big part in the Conference League run, the semi-finals against AS Alkmaar. But off the pitch, the way he got involved with the celebrations, and I always like a player that you feel like is making or has made an effort to just understand a little bit about the club, the fans, and the fact that he was singing the songs with the fans on the bus and stuff. It was hard to not warm to him and really like him. And I remember when he first joined, David Moyes had said about he's instantly become a bit of a voice in the change room, and he brought that leadership with him, which was really good because at the time we'd just lost Mark Noble as captain. Rice had just become the permanent captain, and he was okay because he'd been Noble's apprentice for quite some time. But it was still a little bit of a hole, so to have somebody in there to sort of add that leadership qualities to the change room, I think was always a good thing. So off the pitch, Kehrer impressed me. On the pitch, it was a mixed bag of results, but it was exactly what I expected. When we signed Kehrer, I already had an opinion based on his time in the Bundesliga, not from PSG, which was he was a good centre-back, but he could be a bit erratic. He could come running out of defence, out of possession. This is chasing somebody down when he probably shouldn't. His positioning was a little bit iffy. However, strong in the tackle, good with the ball at his feet, and I thought he was exactly that we signed. Now, context is important. It was an emergency signing. Aguerd got injured at Ibrox in pre-season. We knew it was a bad one. And because of the World Cup, we knew we probably wouldn't see Aguerd until Christmas time post-World Cup. And that World Cup actually helped us so that Aguerd could almost have a pre-season before he came back. But we needed to sign someone, and Kehrer was the answer. We went and got him pretty quickly as well. And when he came in, he was fantastic when he first started playing for us. But we then played him at right back, and I thought he was absolutely horrific, to be honest with you. But most of his experience on the right-hand side came as either a right centre-back in a back three or right wing-back. And we didn't either. We played him right back, and I thought he just got exposed completely. I thought his positioning was really bad as a right back, quite slow at getting back. He was good on the ball and going forward. I was pleased with that aspect of his game, but the defensive side of it, not so much, and quite worrying from a defender. At centre back, again, I thought there were some really good performances, and the highlights probably being the games against AZ Alkmaar in the Conference League semi-finals. But, and there was two big buts here. First of all, I thought he was quite poor in the air. Aerially, I don't think he was dominant and got dominated quite often. Man United away in particular, I recall him getting beat pretty easily in the back, at the back post. Albeit, I think it was Rashford that maybe scored a header. He had momentum, but it was almost just to sum it up. He wasn't very good in the air. And also, I thought he was quite error prone. He would usually, my rule of thumb with Kehrer and Craig Dawson, but Kehrer as well, I would say they make one big error a game. Sometimes they get punished, sometimes they don't. The attacker won't take advantage of it. And I felt that was fitting with Thilo Kehrer. He'd often make big mistakes. But by and large, I liked him as a player. And I was always so disappointed to see him go. I was, but it made sense to let him go. I was more disappointed that we didn't use him as much last season. Because earlier on, I say last season, the season we're currently in still, Luton, I thought Luton, it felt like Luton was the last game of the season. So when I say last season, I mean the one we're currently still in. We've still got a game to go. But the commentators have written us off that Man City have already won the title. So anyway, earlier this season, I hoped there was maybe an opportunity to play Kehrer as a defensive midfielder in some games, because the transfer window shut. We'd replaced Declan Rice with Edson Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse. We'd loaned out Flynn Downs, and it felt a little bit like, who's the cover for Alvarez? There wasn't one. And there were some games where Moyes brought Thilo Kehrer on in a defensive field position early in the season. Luton away maybe. I've got Brentford in my head, I'm not sure why, but Luton away, I think he brought him on for 5-10 minutes maybe, sort of just to sit in front of the back four and protect the lead and see out the win. And it worked. Now when I say it worked, we won the games. He didn't necessarily do anything incredible, but I quite liked it. I quite liked the idea, because I felt that it was utilising Kehler's strengths, and the pressure on a defensive midfielder to be good in the air isn't as much as a centre-back. So it sort of removed his weakness from the game as well, and I thought there was maybe something there. And I actually thought Moyes had come up with something really quite clever here. Oh, this is good. I see what you're doing here. You're going to play him right back, centre-back, defensive midfield. No, we played him left back as well for some reason. Regardless. But we didn't really try it. I thought there were some games, particular in the Conference League, we could have maybe tried it a little bit. And could he have been the cover for Edson Alvarez? Turns out we didn't really give it a go. But Moyes would see him in training. I can't. I can only judge what I see 90 minutes on the weekend on a Thursday night. But by the time the January transfer window came around, it was the right thing to do just to get Kehrer gone, because he wasn't playing. Like I said, he was almost a hindrance at right back, because he'd play ahead of Ben Johnson sometimes at right back, and I felt that it was actually a bad thing, that he was a real weakness in the team. So it made sense to get rid of him, especially while he still had value. And we've seen that. 11 million in total is what we're probably going to get, pounds, and get back what we paid. So I think it's been a decent transfer for Kehrer and for West Ham. He came in, did a job. We've got rid of him when we've needed to. We've not hung on to him for too long, so his value just depreciates and he's just lingering around, not doing anything. So we've done the right thing, I think. Good transfer, and I wish him all the best actually, because he did play a big part in us winning that trophy last year. And Thilo Kehrer, I quite liked him actually. Right then, Ogbonna, he's been speaking to Standard, the Evening Standard, just about his future. And he's basically confirmed, without saying it, as you read between the lines, he's basically confirmed he's not had a contract offer for West Ham, because what he said was he will respect the decision. So clearly it's not been made yet. And I think if you've not had a contract offer by now, you're probably not going to get one. Now obviously last month rumours were we were going to offer him and Creswell a new deal. Seems not, and it did feel against Luton, that last game of the season, against Luton when he came off, it did feel like a goodbye from Ogbonna. He got standing ovation, but the way he was just clapping the crowd felt quite significant. But we've entered into this sort of James Collins thing again, where I remember that happening where the fans were singing, sign him up, Ginger Pelly, because nobody really knew. There wasn't any clarity, and he ended up just leaving quite quietly. And I think the same is going to happen again with Ogbonna. And I think that's the right decision, by the way. I think not giving him a new contract would be the right thing. And he's been a fantastic servant for West Ham. I don't need to insert these disclaimers. I don't think it's anything wild suggesting somebody that's closer to 40 than 30 shouldn't be given a new contract. If we had European football next season, I think there's maybe a bit of an argument there, but we don't. I don't think we need a big squad. Now, I'll go into this next week, but we don't need 24 or 25 senior first team players anymore. I think the route to the first team for the youngsters should be there for some players in some positions. And I don't want Ogbonna here, because if it comes to it, maybe Lopetegui won't do this, but certainly Moyes would have done, and that is you've got to play Ogbonna or Casey. Ogbonna will get the nod because he's a senior player, and I want the answer to be different in future. So moving Ogbonna on would be the right thing. He did confirm he's doing his coaching badges and he wants to become a manager one day, and he had pleasant things to say about West Ham, David Moyes and other managers such as Pellegrini, Slaven Bilic and Antonio Conte, so on and so forth. A wonderful player, a fantastic transfer. We'll wait confirmation, but Ogbonna, what he said basically, I'm off ski. He didn't say that. He's waiting to find out, but it feels like he's gone. West Ham will have to release their retained list very, very soon. Some clubs have already done it, of course. We haven't done ours yet, but there is a deadline. I'm not 100% sure when it is. It's usually a few days after the last game in the UEFA calendar, which is obviously the Champions League final. I'm just assuming Champions League finals post Conference League and Europa League usually is, right? So the last day will be the Champions League final. You usually got about 4 days after that, and then you have to tell the Premier League who's going and who's not going. So we'll find out. We'll get clarity about Mubama, Ogbonna, Craswell, Ben Johnson. I think that's it. I think those are the only players' contracts. Fabianski and Soufal have theirs extended. So although officially it says they've expired, they've had theirs extended. That moves us on to Nayef Aguerd. I'm unsure about this one. About a month ago, I was convinced he was off. I think everybody was, and a lot of people still are, and I understand why. I think I'm probably on that side of the fence now, that Aguerd is going in the summer, and it might be the right thing to do. The only thing that's thrown a curveball at me is the fact that I felt, looking at the squad, Aguerd would maybe do well under the way that Lopetegui plays football. Then it came out in the last week or so that actually when he was at Sevilla, he tried and wanted to sign Aguerd, but actually Aguerd chose West Ham over going over there. So that intrigued me a lot, actually, because if this is a player that the manager had previously wanted, why would he not want to see him at West Ham? I guess the difference is it depends on what Tim Steidten thinks. However, I've learned in the last few weeks that Steidten's actually quite prominent in trading at West Ham in terms of evaluating the current crop of players. He doesn't get involved. I'm not saying he does the training or anything. I'm not saying he does that. But in terms of just watching what the players do in training in order to obtain an opinion on them away from what he sees on a Saturday afternoon and what the opinion of Moyes and Nolan and Heitinga might be of that player, Steidten evaluates the player himself based on what he sees in training, just in regards to what the squad could or should look like going forward, or who could maybe step into the first team squad. And this would obviously become more and more important at minute as we're transitioning into a new manager. So I do just wonder, maybe Steidten's looking at Aguerd and training thinking this guy's pretty good actually. Now obviously he's been injured for the last month or so. I am a little bit sceptical as to how serious that injury actually is, but that's just me. It just feels like it's got a little bit sour between the club and Aguerd, and obviously the African Cup of Nations thing didn't help when it was leaked very quickly that the club were disappointed he didn't play, even though he had the cold. But he instead he didn't want to play the last game before the African Cup of Nations. Instead, he just wanted to wait and go there. I get it. I do get it. It's a bit horrible that that situation occurs, and it's even more horrible that it gets leaked, that it came out that the club were disappointed. Stuff like that, I don't like it. That should be kept private behind closed doors, because I understand why a few days before going away to a major tournament, a player might think, I'd rather not play this league game, if you don't mind, because my priority is now playing for Morocco. I get it. I completely get it. I always think playing for your country, especially at a World Cup, I know that wasn't, but at a World Cup, that's got to be the pinnacle. That should be the pinnacle of a player's career, in my opinion. But anyway, Aguerd, I'm okay with either. I'm okay. If he goes, as long as we get a decent transfer fee for him, 20 million maybe, good. If he stays, also good, because I'm intrigued as to what he can do next season under Lopetegui with a completely different style of football. Because I've always believed he's a good centre-back. A bit like Kehrer, actually. And by the way, it was Kehrer that said the football didn't suit him at West Ham. He himself had said his strengths are sort of on the ball, his technical ability, that he's good with the ball at his feet, but also his speed. He said those are his two strengths, and we didn't utilise either at West Ham, and we played low-block football, and he struggled because of it. That is what Thilo Kehrer said. Applying that to Nayef Aguerd, the style that we've seen under David Moyes, I think it exposes Aguerd's weaknesses. Again, similar. In the air, I don't think he's great. I think he can be quite error-prone. But his strengths, which is his speed, his recovery, the fact that he's able to play it out from the back, he's able to dribble out from the back with it, I don't feel that we've really utilised that at West Ham. So I'd be intrigued as to what he could do under a different manager, and that is what Lopetegui is. Now, while he might not be my first choice, and he might not be the complete change I'd like, or just I don't think he's going to bring the style that I particularly wanted. I think it's going to be an upgrade, however. It is different, and I think it will actually suit Aguerd. In the next week or two, we're going to do a couple of videos. A few players we think will do better under Lopetegui, but a few players who would have done better under Moyes and Lopetegui. It's guesswork, of course, but Aguerd's going to be on my list. I'll put it like that. So I think we're in a win-win situation here. Just like I say about Paqueta, I think we're in a win-win situation with him. I think we are with Aguerd. Either we get a good fee for a centre-back in the summer, or we have a good centre-back next year, and I'm intrigued to see what he can do. Last week, Sean Whetstone did a tweet just saying that West Ham are going to prioritise 2 centre-backs and a striker in the summer transfer window. Other reports have said we're going to sign 6 players. It would make sense that would be 3 up to 6. And I know a lot of people said we need 10. I disagree. I think 6 is adequate. I'll explain next week. I'm going to do a little bit of a dive into the current West Ham squad. And if we are going to get 2 centre-backs, that would insinuate 2 are leaving, not including Thilo Kehrer, of course, unless Zuma is one. I think Mavropanos is the only centre-back guaranteed to be here next year. Zuma's contract's running low. We have our issues with Kurt Zuma. Aguerd wants out apparently, and Ogbonna looks like he's off. So it looks like one of Aguerd or Zuma is going. Likely to be Aguerd at present. 2 centre-backs coming in. I'm surprised and disappointed that we haven't made a move for Tosin Adebayo, who's obviously left Fulham. He's free, homegrown. It felt like an easy signing for somebody to bring in a homegrown centre-back with no transfer fee, more than capable of playing in the Premier League. Newcastle are front runners for him. Man United have apparently made a late bid. Obviously, Varane leaving. They've had issues at centre-back all season. Was it 19 centre-back combinations they've had throughout the course of the season? Casemiro playing centre-back now with Johnny Evans. I mean, imagine... Listen, there's a lot of talk, right, and understandably so, and rightfully so, about how much money Moyes has spent in the state of the squad. I personally don't think it's as bad as some say, but regardless, put that to one side. The amount of money Man United have spent in their centre-back pairing in the last couple of games have been Evans and Casemiro. I mean, we've gone wrong. That has gone wrong. But anyway, surprised and disappointed we've not gone from Adebayo. Lloyd Kelly looks like he's going to Newcastle as well. Another centre-back / left-back that's free. Interesting. Maybe there's something in that centre-back from Belgium that we've been linked to. I'm not sure, but Plenty transfer activity expected at West Ham, and it's started now. Thilo Kehrer has joined Monaco. Genuinely wish him all the best, actually. It's been, in my opinion, a decent transfer for West Ham, and I think the sale of Thilo Kehrer has also been decent. I'm almost quite impressed with the business we've done in regards to Thilo Kehrer. Didn't think I'd ever see that day where the signing and the selling of the player was good from the club. But here we are. Things are changing at West Ham, perhaps. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this centre-back ramble, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe me to Hammers Chat. Also, what are you doing tomorrow? maybe not you guys that live abroad or anything like that, but those who live in England, especially those who live in London, in Essex and Kent, what are you doing tomorrow? Because tomorrow, Saturday, at 2 o'clock, there's a kick-off at the Chigwell Construction Stadium as Dagenham Legends take on West Ham Legends. I'm going to put the link to the ticket site in the description in the pinned comments of this one. So if you're not doing anything tomorrow and you fancy getting along to a game of football, support a good cause. The money goes to the Dylan Tombides Foundation. You can see some of your former ex-Hammers in action. The likes of Anton Ferdinand's playing, Marlon Harewood, Carlton Cole, Paul Konchesky, Jimmy Walker. Loads of former favourites lining up for West Ham. Like I said, all the details will be below and the pinned comments. So if you're not doing anything, consider popping along and supporting a good cause. But anyway, I'll catch up with you tomorrow, and then at 2:55, it's a 4 o'clock kickoff Sunday. 2:55, myself and Guns will be live on this channel. We'll see you then.